All right, it is 7 o'clock on Thursday, July 10th. This is the regular council meeting for the city of Alburnett, and we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you'll please join me, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, roll call, Counselor Trom,
Present.
Counselor Bosenberg,
Present.
Counselor Sukup,
Present.
Counselor West,
Present.
Counselor Myers.
Present.
Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum to conduct business tonight, as well as many visitors. So welcome, everyone. We appreciate that you're here. I would seek a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Bosenberg. Do I have a second?
Fire.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, we do not have our sheriff's representative here, but if you'll hop to your packet, page 2, we did receive the sheriff's report. So from June 12th through July 10th, there were 23 calls for service, which satisfied the 43 hours required for the month. Give you a second to scan through that.
Been updated.
Okay. Oh, because they always send it morning of as well. Oh, so mine's static, so you may see
No, I changed.
I know, but mine still says 23, theirs says 27, so 27 calls for service. Any questions? Anything you want me to raise with Major Colston? All right, if you think of anything, go ahead and get it to Vicky. Take care of that. Okay, next item on the agenda is a public hearing for the status of funded activities for the generator project. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The public hearing is open at 7:02 p.m. Please note, we do have proof of publication in our packet, and I am going to recognize, it's Alyssa, right?
Yes.
Alyssa from ECI COG is here to run through this line item with us.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Melissa. I am the grant administrator for the generator project at the fire station and well house. So this is just a requirement for the grant, so bear with me, it's a little robotic, but the purpose of this hearing is to consider the status of funded activities for the Alburnett generator project as assisted by the Community Development Block Grant Program, contract number 20 ERI 005. As required for this hearing, it's noted that for a general description of accomplishments to date, a CDBG disaster recovery generator installation contract in the amount of $100,000 was awarded to the city of Alburnett from the Iowa Economic Development Authority for the installation of a generator at the fire station well house located at 405 Roosevelt Street. A release of funds was issued on April 22nd, 2024. A pre-construction meeting was held on September 19th, 2024. Construction began on December 9th and was completed on May 21st of 2025. For a summary of funding of the activity and source of funds and total funds spent thus far by source, the total project cost is estimated at $69,985.84. In addition to CDBG, the project is funded in part by a local match of $35,000. And then through July 10th, 2025, a total of $2,877.09 has been invoiced for project service delivery and newspaper publication. When invoiced for the project costs, the construction items will include materials and labor for gas piping and generator installation. For a general description of remaining work, the project construction is complete. The remaining work on the project includes required monitoring and site visits conducted by the Iowa Economic Development Authority. For a general description of changes made to the project's budget, performance targets, activity schedules, project scope, location, objectives, or beneficiaries, no changes have been made. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have questions about the generator?
Yep. Any questions or comments from public during this public hearing?
I have a question for you. How long did it take to get get the community development block grant?
Alyssa, when did we apply for that? It
It was
happened?
where I started, but I think it was 2022. Was that when you applied? And were they awarded in 23? Or before that even?
I think we applied in 23, awarded. I'd have to look that up,
Okay.
Cindy. That's a great question.
Been a while.
It was on first application, which was fantastic because the
You got
generator,
it the first time.
because the generator supports two critical infrastructure, the well and the fire station. So we were awarded on first application, which we were very pleased with.
Heard that it sometimes takes 3 and 4 to get there.
Nope, they saw the merit in the project and we really appreciate it. So.
Check. I just was curious.
Yeah.
Because I've heard on some of them that it's taking, 3 and 4 years and you have a critical need. So I'm trying to get data for that.
Yep, no, ours was first application.
Great.
Perfect. Any other
you.
public comment? Any comment from council? All right. With that, I would seek a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Moved by Bozenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by West. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The public hearing is closed at 7:06 PM. Thanks for being here, Alyssa. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You're right.
All right, next item on the agenda is citizen comments. We do have two types of comments here in the city of Alburnett, those for agenda-related items and non-agenda related items. If you are on the agenda, you will speak at that time. We do ask that you state your name and address clearly for the record and limit comments to 5 minutes. So do we have any citizen comments for agenda-related items? Hearing none. Any citizen comments for non-agenda related items? All right. That moves us into the mayor's report. I've got just a couple of updates this month. I did remove the park project and Longworth drainage project from the agenda from old business because there's not any action for council this time, but I did want to provide updates on those. So for the park project, the engineer is still reworking based on some of the feedback we gave specifically around the size of the pavilion. And so they're working on that. At the same time, the city is feverishly working to find grants. And so we're in tandem, still hoping we can maybe launch that late this fall, if not over the winter for a spring start. So a huge impact to the timeline. Again, this is something that will get done as we get there, but I want to make sure we do it right. So grant funding will be essential and we're continuing to look for that. I know the REAP grant recently opened and Vicky's working through that application. So that is the park project update. Hope to have more as the year progresses. Longworth drainage project. The timeline on the original quote from the engineer, I was hoping to have something ready to go out to bid. So we would hit the dry season of summer. Turns out it's not been dry. So we're probably okay. But they did reach out. They've done a site visit and they are working up an initial design. So hope to have that in August for their proposal on what needs to be done to alleviate the drainage issue between Longworth and Willow Street. Nothing for council tonight, but coming soon. Nuisance update, we still have one nuisance outstanding. There was a scheduled hearing on July 7th, which would have been this past Monday. However, just ahead of that hearing, the magistrate assigned reached out and had a conflict of interest as he works for the same firm as the city attorney. And so that hearing has been rescheduled to August 11th. So still a little more time on that one. I'm staying in close contact with our attorney and I'm going to give regular updates in hopes we can hopefully get this resolved before we have to end up back in court. But that is scheduled for August 11th. And then one last reminder for residents, if you could please, we are in the thick of mowing season, especially with all of the rain that we've gotten. Please be sure not to blow grass into the streets. It does clog up the storm sewers and creates hazardous conditions. So we appreciate if you would keep your grass clippings above the curb. That is my mayor's report. We'll move on to council comments. Councilor Myers.
I do want to just take a quick moment to thank Counselor Rosenberg for helping me move some of those tree limbs that have been dangling over the sidewalk. It's play whacking. It was pointed out to me by former Mayor McClintock, who is tall. I'm just saying. But they needed to go down and I appreciate it.
Still got a couple more knees come out, but. Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Perfect. Counselor West,
Nothing at this time.
Counselor Sukup,
Nothing at this time.
Counselor Rosenberg,
Nothing.
Counselor Trump.
Nothing.
Brings us to written reports. This is in your packet, starting on page 4, and we will start with the fire department. I will start with Chief West.
First we'll have. Oh my gosh, I just drew a blank.
You're good.
James.
Well, if anybody doesn't know me, I'm James Swob. We're out of Marion just to help take care of the fire trucks. But last year, we were talking about doing the services to the engines every year. But for how little hours are put on the units, I don't think that is necessary anymore. So I do recommend a yearly inspection at the same time. There's an additional quarter of an hour to take oil samples, and I'll send those to Caterpillar. So instead of doing services each year, I'd recommend every third year doing a full service. But just because how low hours they get each year, just taking oil samples and having Caterpillar test those. And if anything comes back, like say high moisture content, because they do sit, but they are also in a climate controlled building. So that is a lot less likely for them to accumulate water in the oil. But that's one of the big changes. I see, did Dave take care of the service on the Suburban there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I just saw that out there, so I figured he took care of it for you guys.
Yep.
But I'd also recommend doing transmission services this year. I have not got quotes together yet for those, but I should have them together to you guys by next council meeting.
Okay.
But you'd probably be looking at about 2 hours a unit plus cost of fluid and filters. Fluid and filter for the bigger trucks are quite expensive. So that's where you're gonna see a lot of money there. But you're looking, because it's about $50 a gallon, somewhere around there. But I'd recommend doing those services, those transmissions, just because when those fire trucks go out, they get ran hard. So that's one of the things I'd recommend, just to make sure that's up to snuff. And then just besides basic maintenance stuff, I would say you're pretty well to be caught up after that. And I gotta look back at the quotes, but there was a couple of wiring issues on some of the trucks just for lights that we spoke about last year. And we can also go over those again next council meeting. So I'll have everything put together for that. So just because this wasn't in the council meeting, we'll have a little more time next council meeting, gonna go over what I'd recommend just for repairs. But yeah, otherwise, fire trucks are looking pretty good. All the safety concerns were taken care of last year. Like some of them had a bad brake chamber, stuff like that, but the immediate safety stuff has been taken care of on the fire trucks. Now it's just say some lights are out, a few other things like that, and then I'd recommend doing the transmission services just to make sure those fluids are up to snuff on them. But yeah, otherwise they're looking pretty good.
Perfect. And those inspections would include, similar to what you did first round when you found the safety concerns.
Yeah,
You'd go
so-
back through the whole truck, or is it just really?
This year's inspection, it's not a DOT inspection, but a DOT equivalent inspection. So it'd be the same kind of inspection that the DOT does when they pull over vehicles or stuff like that. So it's for most road going vehicles besides emergency vehicles, because they are exempt from the DOT requirements. It's the same level of inspection. So I'm inspecting brakes, everything, oil leaks, safety concerns, all that good stuff. So last year was only an hour for that inspection. But this year, since I'm doing the oil samples at the same time, is an hour and a quarter. I think about hour and 15 minutes to do that, just because taking the oil sample and then sending those off to Caterpillar. And then I'll get with TJ once those oil tests come back in, just let them know how the oil looks in them. I'd probably recommend doing the full services. It'd probably end up being about once every 3 years, but doing the oil samples and inspections every year.
Okay.
So.
Perfect.
Otherwise, that's where we're at in the fire station.
Appreciate all your work. I know that was a lot getting caught up.
Yeah.
So,
I know you were talking about a tractor last year. Let's get with you with that. You're talking about something about the tractor. he asked once or twice last year. It's been a while though.
I'll rack my brain. I'll shoot you an email.
Yeah, or something about the skid loader or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been the skid. We don't run the tractor hardly at all, so.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll keep working on those quotes for the transmission services, and I'll go back through all the quotes, cause there's quite a bit of quotes there. And we'll just kind of plan to go over those in more detail next council meeting. So just to make sure we have a lot of time for that tomorrow. We're probably gonna probably take 10-15 minutes probably to go over everything. Otherwise, that's it for me. Does
Perfect.
anybody else got any questions?
Appreciate you.
Anybody over here? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. I'll
Yep.
take off.
Thanks,
Thanks.
James.
Thank you.
I know that was a lot of work. They had not been tended to in a while, so
No.
it's good to hear that we're sitting in a good spot.
Yep.
We're in maintenance position now, so. All right, and then you've got, Chief West report as well. Anything from our medical captain, EMS captain? What's that?
What's her face?
EMS, I can never remember your position. EMS captain. I'll get it one of these days.
We had a lot of fun Monday night. We had one of the most entertaining trainings that we had. We had lifeguard come out and we had training with them and it was very pleasant. They are a super group of people to work with. We have new people on our department, so it was good to have training because when we have those critical calls and we have to fly somebody out, you need to know how to land them, how they shut down, how long it takes for you to get in, to be able to get up to that chopper to help or whatever they need. So we had a lot of valuable information handed to us the other night, so it was great for the new people. Next month, we have Sim Iowa coming in. Sim Iowa is a big semi, so to speak, coming in and it's all training. And we can practice, medical calls. We can practice trauma situations, cardiac situations, airway problems, just a ton of stuff. So they'll be coming in and that will be great for our training. During that training, Center Point Ambulance will be here to work with us too. I believe Central City Fire is coming over. And, I might have a couple from Colin coming in. So it will be a large group that's gonna be out here to do the training. And I think they're coming at 4:00 and till 8, I think is,
That was extended
yes.
beyond your normal training.
So that's going on. Since my chief is kind of not able to attend a few things here lately, I attended the OD MAP meeting that was held in Hiawatha, and it has to do with the state and all the counties in Iowa working together on overdose situations or suspected overdoses. And so we are going to be set up for that, and I forwarded the information to the chief. And we'll get approved and be able to click in and take care of that if we have the overdose situations here to report to the state. And it's free. That was the best part. We got another junior, so now we have 2 junior cadets that are in our realm, and the one got big experience on Monday. She was included on the fire training, the big fire over at Manal, and 11 agencies responded to that, so she was included in that. She got to see a lot of action for that. So that was good training for her. Other than that, we're kind of picking up the slack for the chief at the moment until he's back full time again. And we kind of set up our own system with calling each other if somebody has to go into town or you have an appointment somewhere or whatever, so that there's somebody to respond while the other one's away for a while. So. Just let
How'd
you
that
know.
car show do?
Pardon me?
How'd your car show do?
It went very, very well. We had
237.
237 entries. And that didn't include people who came in and showed their cars and did not register. So we were full, we were packed here in town. So it was very good. worked out well.
Yes.
We're still, dealing with some of the expenses yet, so we don't know how much has been earned, just split between us and the Lions Club, but it'll be very, very hefty, I think. So very nice for us.
You got a beautiful day for it, because then it rained the next day, so you
It was-
planned it perfectly.
Any questions from anybody?
Well, we appreciate your dedication for sure. I do know we had district baseball Monday night and there were some startled by the helicopter
Yeah.
coming in. So we kind of tried to spread the word for training. It's fine. We knew it was coming. So,
Very nice, the PR person here put out the information on Facebook so that if anybody in town could read that and know what was going on, so that nobody would be like, oh my God, we have a chopper coming right in here. They recognize that chopper, so they'd be thinking that it's a crisis situation. We didn't want them to think that it was training. And people were very nice that they did not come to the station and interfere or anything, so it worked out well. And we had mentioned that, and she did this all on her own. I was very happy about this, about drones, not to have those flying
Yep.
around, especially when you're trying to bring in a chopper.
We had some lawn chairs set up there on the dead end at Willow, so
nice.
they respected the
Boundary.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good awareness of all that you guys do. So we appreciate it. Any questions for fire?
I do want to add, we did get the grant submitted for firehouse subs today,
Nice.
so. Cross your fingers,
How much we ask for?
35,000.
Nice.
It's for 15 radios. And the stuff to support it.
Yeah, everything.
Is the 75s aren't gonna be supported anymore?
Correct. Yeah, February's their end of life, so.
And where does that grant come from?
Firehouse subs, the restaurant chain. So,
Really?
Mhm. Yeah, I saw they donated food for the
Yes, they
the
did.
fire.
That was the last minute phone call. They,
Yeah, they're big supporters.
yes,
It's fantastic.
they put a lot for the fire departments, for that fire together. That was,
Where was that thing?
was, Monroe, over by Taco.
I live over that way.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was on Big Wheel Road, yeah.
Hay bales, wasn't it? Hay
Yeah.
bales, yeah, much hay bales.
it was like Monday.
Mhm.
9 o'clock. Got everybody moving quick.
All right, if there's nothing for fire, we'll go ahead and recognize our deputy. Thanks for joining us
Yeah,
tonight.
sorry, I was late.
No worries.
Next. All right, this period, 6:12 through 7:10, sorry, I'm Deputy Pete. Get ahead of myself. Looks like the required 10 hours were met, 27 calls for service. That handled by officers on here. Anything jump out on the report or any questions, comments, concerns to pass on to the patrol division?
I don't believe so. We do have another event coming up. I'll have Vicky, email Major Colston just so they know road closures that'll be happening that day, but otherwise everything's been running smooth. Benefit day.
Benefit days.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Oh, okay, perfect. Awesome. I'll leave it to y'all. We'll make sure they know of that, and August will be a different discussion when school starts, because we'll, but for now, we're nice and quiet, so
Perfect.
awesome. Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right, yeah, have a good night.
Use the Q word. I'm sorry. I didn't direct it at you. Sorry, I know you've trained me better. All right. That brings us to Public Works. So you have Mac's report on page 5. If you will too. So everything seems to be going as normal, still working on well 2. So there are increased ammonia levels since we did the service on well 2. So that's been the flushing that we've been doing. I have gotten a couple of questions on that as I'm out and around town. That water is not in the system. We are flushing and not using that well right now. So it looks like Mac is in close contact with the DNR on how to handle that. Any questions I can pass back to Mac on his report? All right, hearing none, that brings us to the clerk's report. Vicky, anything to add?
Under the legislative updates, this was the webinars being put on by the League of Cities. So if anybody wants that information, the link to it, let me know, I'll send it out. This kind of goes over the stuff that a little bit more detail of what just passed, how it would affect small cities, things like that, so.
You staying abreast of those things. I should pause. She put it on here, but we should also recognize happy 1 year anniversary this month. So thanks for coming back every day. Appreciate you. Is there anything you need from us on the outstanding obligations report, or is that just an awareness that it's being submitted? Perfect. Any questions on the clerk's report? I do want to step through profit and loss just because it sums up FY 25, but I want to see if there's any questions for Vicky first. All right,
I
hearing
want to
this.
see two separate, so, but I figure that is as pertinent as seeing the whole year. Close down.
Yes, thank you for that. That went smoothly. So if we're looking, starting on page 10. So I'm going to take these at some of the big buckets here. So for income, for our revenue, for taxes, we were at 101% of budget. So we got really close there, and actually brought in just a little bit more than we had planned on. So that's a good news story. Licenses as permits, pretty small budget to begin with. We budget less than $5,000 and we hit about 50% of that. So we brought in about $2,500 on licenses and permits. As far as interest and any other rent, we doubled what our projected budget was on that. And I think a lot of that's been due to Vicky's been working really hard to find ways to make sure we're capitalizing on as much interest as possible. So we appreciate her doing that. And with the IPATE agreement that we talked about at the last meeting, that should be even more beneficial for the city. State shared revenues, we were at 103%. So again, really close on our budget numbers there. So those are road use taxes primarily. Same for grants and reimbursements. We were at 137% of budget. So that's good news. The only one that's going to look lower under local grants and reimbursements, we were only at 27% there because that is where we put the CDB GGR, whatever, the one that the block grant that Alyssa just spoke about. So the money didn't come in FY 25. It will come in FY 26. So that was an expected, I hate to call it a deficit because the money's also being spent out of FY 26. So that one's going to wash out. But that is the big difference there is the 100,000 from that grant in particular. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. I think that was under miscellaneous revenues. Regardless, we knew the 100,000 wasn't coming in. So final total income, you'll find that halfway down page 11, right before where it says gross, or right where it says gross profit. We ended at 109% of budget. So more income than we had projected, which is always a good news story. And then as we flip through expenses, again, we're going to keep these at a high level. So public safety is the 100 fund. That's going to be on page 12. We ended our expenses at 97.6%. So right on target there. So that's our fire department as well as police and animal control. So we are right on target. 200 level is public works. So that total is going to be on page 14. So we were at 39% for public works. So we were well under on public works. I think some of that is we had budgeted for a street project. And then that didn't quite come around this year as something that we were able to get done. So it's just the nature of the beast. So level 400 culture and recreation at 9%. That is because we did have a bulk, the 350 for the park project, which we've already explained where we've put the pause on that. So we were well under budget within our culture and recreation. 500 is community and economic development. So this is the one, it shows we're at 500% of budget, but this is where our TIF payment comes out of. But it's actually the reconciled into debt service, so that one's always kind of weird and it flushes out in the end. But yeah, the primary of that is the TIF payment for Naylor Estates. And that is all money that we had planned on spending. It's just how it comes out of the budget looks funny every year. Next item is 600, level 600, which is going to be all the way on page 17. So this is our general government, things like city hall, mayor and council. We are at 94%, almost 95%. So we right on target with that. So overall, and then our debt service is always predictable. So we were right on for debt service as well. So overall, for our 100 through 700 funds, we landed at 53% of budget. But again, a lot of that was because we did not spend the park money. And then lastly, we've got our funds for business activities, our proprietary funds for water, sewer, and stormwater. For water, which is level 800, we were at 94.5%. We did a lot of work on the wells this year. So to get all of that done, some of it at an emergency level and still stay on budget, is really well done. Staff kept a close eye on things. For sewer, we were at 98.7%. We did have the amendment for some of the expenses, and so that was one that projected really well for the end of the year, which is awesome. And then stormwater, we were at right about 90% of budget. So overall, successful year. We got a lot of good things done. Again, service 2 wells, which we were not expecting to have to do. All the work on the fire trucks as James mentioned. So it was a good year. Looking forward to FY26. Any questions on the finance report? All righty. That brings us to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
I've got a motion by Suka. Do I have a second? Second by Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed, nay. That motion carries, and we are into new business, and we are going to recognize our representative, Miss Cindy Golding. There is nothing in your packet on this one, so we're all yours.
Hi, guys. I want to ask you, I want to, number one, applaud your approach with your budget. In all of the complaints I get about property taxes and all this, I haven't gotten a single one from Alburnett. So in the hundreds of complaints I've gotten, not one. Most of them come from people over in the Linn-Mar area. So, yeah, go figure.
Well, thank you. I think it comes with transparency. I mean, the fact that we will step through it and look at it. So I do appreciate that.
No, and I've gone to, I have a policy of going to all of the 11 city councils that are in our district to find out what our concerns are in my district. And because a lot of the laws that come up are restricting what you can do, or they are requiring you to do something in the unfunded mandate. So I'm here to answer your questions and see, you know, if you have, I do have a question. Have you taken advantage of the LoSAP bill that we passed? Because I've worked on that. That's the length of service award for volunteers in emergency and fire. It's something that we worked on and worked on and worked on. I know it was worked on in the legislature before I was even there. I was on the bill for 2 years when I was on, so it's a local government thing, and we finally passed it this year out of local government. So are you aware of that?
I am not.
So we had volunteer fire people, firemen and women and emergency personnel at the Capitol when we signed the bill. So it's something.
What is the name of the bill again?
It's called the LoSAP Length of Service Award. So it's something that a city can set up a fund. It's so it can work, if I understand it correctly, it's changed through the 3 years, or, you know, and when it goes back through Ways and Means, it gets, changed a little. But it's kind of like you can set up an award program that would work like a 401k, because they're volunteers, you don't pay them. But it's something that says that after so many years, you can have a length of service award for your volunteers. That's something to look into. I neglected to mention that as some of the others, but listening to your report, it reminded me that that was one of those bills that we passed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Looks
So-
like this is just the AI. They will provide matching funds up to $300 per recipient per year through a grant program administered by the Department of Revenue.
Yeah, see, so I didn't know what came back through appropriations, since that one gets with the appropriations. Because, these are all lumped together and it comes out in the rules.
Yep.
As they use it. So, so that's something you can take advantage of. And I encourage, knowing how much it costs for the volunteers, the training and the equipment and everything, we're also trying to get more money to reimburse volunteers for the equipment and some of the training, because it's expensive and it takes a lot of time, as you mentioned, the time. So that's one thing I was really excited about, because I worked hard on that bill. We will be doing property tax, and I have been in here twice. My approach is very different than the two bills that were proposed this year, because both of those bills put a hard cap on what you can do. And I believe that we are taxing unrealized gain, and that we need to freeze assessments and then take the caps off, so that your constituents can decide they want a new park. Don't say that you're gonna cap the levies and then so the approach so far has been, we're gonna cap everything at 2%. So the tax bill cannot go up more than 2%. But then all of the taxing entities have to fight over who gets what out of that 2% that the property owner pays. And they hadn't talked about assessments in there. So then they started throwing in, well, we'll put in a 25% rollback. Well, I don't care how much of a rollback you put in. If the assessments are out of line, they're out of line, regardless of what that percentage is. So I want to freeze assessments, work through the rollback, so that you don't have to wait till October to find out what it's going to be. I think that's when they give you the number, isn't it? I know my very first year, they made a mistake in October and came back in January and said, oh no, you're not going to get that much. You're getting 2% less. After you already had done your budgets.
We had it ahead of budget season. So I think we get it in October for next year's budget, but it is just an estimate, obviously.
So, and that rollback puts everybody, the schools, everybody at this unknown. You don't know how much the rollback is going to be. It's very difficult to plan as you're moving forward. And then when they put these artificial caps on the levies, it might be that they can do that in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, but all of my small towns are harmed by these caps that they put on. So I have been assured by Bobby on the House side. Bobby Kaufman is the one who was running the property tax bill this year. And he said that my approach, so I wrote a bill, and it's just a framework. It didn't have all the nuances in that you have to have in the property tax bill, but was to start the conversation, because we need to get some numbers back from Department of Revenue. If we do this, what does it do? Getting those numbers back this year took 4 months. So we couldn't really even get stuff moving in the legislature, because it was taking so long to get data back. So I want you to be aware of things that they have talked about. So if this freezing of assessment continues in the conversation, I will be thrilled, because that's the only way that everybody can plan. if you put an addition on your house, of course, your assessment's gonna go up. You're gonna get greater assessments with new construction. But right now, the assessments are just way out of whack, all over the place. Then it would go up 5% a year as we get rid of the rollback, so you would know that you're gonna get 5% more. The homeowners, the business owners would know their tax bill can go up 5% as we work out of the rollback situation. Uncoupled it from agriculture, so ag has its own thing. So, because right now it's coupled, and that's why they can't come in with what it's gonna be until they get the ag numbers, which is ridiculous. They have their own situation, communities have different. But they're talking about eliminating TIF, which concerns me. There is a real strong movement in the Senate to eliminate TIF. In the House, it's more, well, let's put some constraints on it so it's actually used for what it's supposed to be used for. Because there are some communities in this state that have abused the TIF process. And there is a strong sentiment within the Senate that TIF is just transferring the tax burden to other people and benefiting the developers. And so we're trying to say, wait, for our smaller communities, we need this, or we need something else if we're going to do some infrastructure or whatever. So that you need to keep in mind moving forward as you're making plans. We don't know what that's going to look like, but in the House, we're pushing back against that. But of course, it takes 2 chambers to pass a bill, you know, so that's number one.
Well, let me just share with you. So we, as I mentioned, we do have TIF payments. We only have, I think, 1 or 2 more payments on that schedule. For a town our size, we don't have full-time legal counsel. We have, our clerk who has to know a little about a lot, or in some cases, a lot about a lot. It's a very confusing process to the point where I've had developers come to me and I have told them I won't use TIF because we had some issues this last time, and we contacted the county. The county doesn't understand it. We contacted our financial advisor. Nobody has the same definition of how this is supposed to work. So for smaller cities, it's almost impossible for us to use TIF anyway. Like, just to give you that feedback.
Okay, well, I just wanted you to be
'Cause
aware.
It's confusing, and
Yeah.
no one seems to have the same definition of how it's supposed to work.
I'll tell you, there are a few legislators who understand property. I make it a point to study every bill, and now I don't know it as well as somebody who works in it every day. But when I get in conversations with other legislators, I know more about it, and I haven't been there very long, but, so there's that. The other thing that they've talked about, which I am opposed to, is for the state to pick up some of the school portion of the property tax. The problem with that is the state already picked up mental health a few years back. Lynn County was one of 49, there's 99 counties in the state. 50 counties gave that credit back to their taxpayers. When the state picked it up, those 50 counties quit collecting that levy. Lynn County is one of 49 counties that continued to collect the money. So now we have the state paying it and your property taxes are still here. So it's almost like they just assigned it to something else. I'm concerned that if we did that with the schools, the very same thing would happen. So I've done a lot of research on the property tax. Back in 71, the state paid for 70% of the cost per pupil for educating students across the state. School districts like our neighbors Linmar started complaining that they wanted more money to build out what they wanted. And so it just kept going up. The state was paying this and the property taxes still went up. So they went back in and redid the formula and said, okay, there's that 540 levy for schools so that everybody was the same again. And every time the state picks up something, the county or the schools have figured out ways they can still get that money. They're just going to use it for something else. And so one of the things I've told my constituents, and when we redo this property tax situation, your taxes are not going to go down. They may stabilize, but you have to decide what services you're willing to give up if you want your taxes to go down. because the reality is we have services we have to pay for. And so my goal in this is to stabilize the tax system without these huge swings in assessments and all that. And quite frankly, real estate prices go up and they go down. Your assessment rarely goes down. You know, they just leave it there and then the next time it goes up higher, you know, kind of like those point to point things that are supposed to work in investments that don't ever really work. So anyway, I wanted you to know my approach to it and I need ideas from you. If you see anything else, the other thing I'm concerned about is unfunded mandates. When the DNR comes along and says you have to do this, when the DOT comes along and says you have to do X, when somebody else, you know, health department comes along and says you have to do whatever. If they want to put this artificial cap on what your levies can be, and yet they can continue within their departments, that's not at the state level, that's within their departments, saying you have to do this and this and this, driving your costs up, but then at the state level capping what you can charge. You can't have it both ways. So that's what I'm working on. As a business person, I know, you know, what you can only spend what money comes in, and you know, I need any ideas you guys have as you hear the tax bill going through. And I was rather flattered when League of Cities came to me and said mine was the only approach that they thought had any really viable approach to working for their communities. I mean, they came to me right at the beginning. As soon as my bill came out, they came and sat down with me and then found out it was not going to be put in, you know, into a subcommittee because it was just going to be used as a framework because the Senate was hard pressed on putting a cap on. So those were the two bills that came out, were proposed, they were talked about in the Gazette, but those were hard caps that were unrealistic for day-to-day work in the communities.
Well, and I appreciate, I think I shared this with the group. Cindy had a town hall, get together with other mayors and city administrators in Center Point. I think that was over the winter because the weather was not fantastic, but that was beneficial to kind of have all those different community voices in one space. And I appreciate you doing that. And I shared with her at that time, you know, they talk about 2%, but this year alone, our insurance went up 18%. Our utilities went up 11%. So smaller towns like us, it's hard for us to get, specifically on insurance, to get competitive rates because we only have 2 employees. So we have 2 on a policy. So I don't know if there's opportunity to, there's shared services for other things. So is there opportunity to, at a state level, for cities of X population or X number of employees, get on a shared policy and help drive that cost down? Because 18% year over year, when you're going to cap me at 2, it's got that's a benefit we have. We're mandated to offer. We have to have that benefit. So same with, I think they just increased the IPERS contributions for public safety. Now that doesn't impact us because we contract with Lynn County, but again, the city, the employer contributes to that.
Well, it'll impact your contract.
Yes.
Lynn County. So as a small business owner, I have the very same problem. I have 2 employees. And trying to find reasonable insurance, it's next to impossible. And we have been working, so I'm on the board of NFIB, which is National Federation of Independent Business. And we have been working really hard to allow us to come together in groups. And so the Bankers Association can do it, the credit union. But as small businesses, they're not, because we are such a diverse group, they haven't let us do that. So we're fighting the same battle. And I think maybe that's why I'm a lot more sympathetic to the small towns, because we see the same issues. So there's a lot of other stuff that happened this year, and hopefully as it works its way through rules, it's not going to be more onerous for small communities. There's a lot of people that want to tell us what to do and how to do it because they want us to do it, not because we want to do it. Any questions? Well, you guys all know, you all have my business card. You know how to reach me.
We do.
My phone is in the car, but I was just gonna say, my number on there is my cell phone. People call and say, well, are you staff? No, it's me. I don't have staff. You know. So, I try to get back as soon as possible for questions, or at least I look into it, and I've been able to use the examples. Like Ely gave me an example, Centerpoint gave me an example that I was able to use to really push that bill that came out this year. I'm not on the Ways and Means Committee, so I don't have the voice in the committee, but I have a voice in caucus. And I can be pretty vocal. Thanks.
Thank you. And like I said, appreciate you coming out and putting time in the communities. It makes a difference. So
Well, I stay to listen to all the rest of it, so. 'cause That's
perfect.
how I know what to ask,
We appreciate it. All right. Well, if you think of anything, so if you know how to get a hold of her, we can send it through Vicky. So it's all
You
centralized.
guys want my card? Yeah. Cause if there's questions, you can always, like I said, I answer my phone when I have it with me.
All right, next item on our agenda is the special event permit for ACDC Benefit Day on August 2nd, 2025. So I did tell them they didn't necessarily have to be here tonight because they presented at the last meeting, but it was on us that it didn't make it on the agenda. So this is just our official. They have submitted their application. So you'll find that on page 29 of your packet. Again, the only real variant from, well, I guess the last several years they've done it on their property, so this is moving it back onto Main Street. And the biggest variant is just the start time, those hours of operation. They've got 2 to around midnight or 1 a.m. I believe the event goes till midnight, and they're planning on through 1 a.m. for cleanup. But the rest of it is pretty straightforward. They did include certificate of insurance, so we have that in hand. Resubmitted their parade route, as well as the detour. And I know they talked to, they've already talked to the post office, which is one of our, we just want to make sure they are informed of what's going on. So,
I believe the parade will start at 3.
yes, yep, line up at
With
2.
that, so.
Yeah, they gave the schedule on page 31.
I think that's different on that schedule. I think it talked about having the walk out of the complex. Is that listed on there?
Nope, they must have dropped it.
So
It
they
is.
Took it off.
Yep. This isn't the updated one that we just dropped off. So. All right. Any questions, comments? If not, I would seek a motion to approve the special event permit for ACDC Benefit Day on August 2nd, 2025 from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m.
One thing real quick, the touch a truck, we will have lifeguard again.
Ooh.
That's the plan.
Yes,
Well, of course, yeah, you never know until you see them, right?
Unless they get the flight to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
unless they get a call or anything, they will be coming in, so
Nice.
it'll be something. for
Where are you gonna land that?
Behind the bank,
And the
on the bank parking lot.
Nice for
There,
them to
they
know.
take breakfast or anything that maybe.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Cause they're not gonna start until afternoon. Parade at 3 and then some kids' activities, and then alumni wrestling is always a huge hit, so that's
Pie
at
auction.
7, and the pie auction at 9, and then a band after that, so.
If you have all that on your Facebook page.
So ACDC puts it on theirs, so they promote all of it.
Oh, that's where I should look.
Yeah, the Alburnett Community Diamond Club is what ACDC stands for, yep. Yep, all sorts of food vendors and stuff that they're bringing in, so should be a lot of fun. And then I could reach out, or if you want to, I know I reached out to emergency management one year and they brought in the hazmat truck as well for the touch a truck. So if you want to reach out to BJ, if you want me to, they've got some new trailers and stuff that they had at the fair as well. So
Okay.
they've been an incredible partner. The hazmat truck was really cool. All right, anything else? Motion to approve the special event permit for ACDC Benefit Day, August 2nd, 2025 from 2 PM to 1 AM.
So moved.
Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right. On page 35, we've got resolution 07-2025-01 approving contractor for pavement grinding services on North Main Avenue. So this is as you're heading north of town, just right about city limits. There are a couple of places that have heaved. We've had to grind these particular areas before, so we're hoping to just grind off the high spots and make that nice and smooth. But again, we have done them before, so we're not sure how much material is there to be ground off, or if it is just gonna have to be taken out and replaced altogether. So what you have in your packet, I can read the resolution when we get there, but page 36 is a quote from Kleesner Construction. So this is the only quote that we have to grind those areas, but they did also include the price for if they needed to be replaced. So they quoted by hour to grind it. So there's a 3-hour minimum at the 850, and then every hour after that is $200. We reached out to them. They estimate it to take about 4 hours. So what we have on the resolution includes the 4 hours for them to grind it and the cost for if they need to replace. Just so you know, because that was the only one that was a little different. It didn't have a hard and fast total on there, but we do have confirmation from them that it'll be about 4 hours. And then Pate Asphalt, that is just to core out those and do a repair on those areas so they would not grind it first. And that's at the 9,605. And then LL Pelling, similar to Pate, they would just core those out and replace, and that's at 12,825. Any questions before I read the resolution? We did leave our blanks in there, so whoever makes the motion, I'd have them fill in the blanks. But any questions? All right, hearing none. Resolution 07-2025-01 approving contractor for pavement grinding services on North Main Avenue. Whereas the city of Alburnett, Iowa sought quotes for the grinding of pavement on North Main Avenue due to road heaving. Whereas notice to contractors was duly given, and whereas 3 quotes were received as follows. Kleesner Construction, $8,910. Again, that's a not to exceed. Pate Asphalt Systems, $9,605. LL Pelling for $12,825. Now therefore be resolved that the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa acknowledges receipt of the quote and hereby selects, fill in the blank, for the proposed pavement grinding work in the amount of, fill in the blank, subject to further direction by the City Council and authorization to proceed by Alburnett Public Works staff. Motion to approve resolution 07-2025-01 with the appropriate blanks filled in.
I'll move we adopt resolution 07-2025-01, filling the blanks with Kleesner's name as a contractor and their bid as the amount.
Perfect. I have a motion by Trum to approve resolution 07-2025-01 for Kleesner Construction in the amount of $8,910. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It carries. All right, next one, discussion on sewer main backup June 14th, 2025. Nothing in your packet on this one, just wanted to bring it to council's attention. Mac happened to be on vacation, so I got wrangled into this one. We did have a sewer main clog right on Main Avenue. I think it was a Saturday evening. It's the day of the car show. Was that the car show day? Because I had spent all day at the car show and then I got pulled away for that afterwards. So we did find there was a large chunk of grease that was clogging the pipe, and so most likely coming from some resident that's putting things down the drain, and it just all built up and broke loose and couldn't go any further. So Vicky is we're going to talk to let me back up a little bit. We do already have we recently approved the contract with Roto-Rooter to do the cleaning of the sewer mains. So basically, they'll do what they came and did that night. They came on an emergency call and they had to jet it out in order to move the blockage. So I believe the cleaning process is a lot the same. They camera the different areas and then they'll do any jetting. We have quoted from them to do 20% a year, I believe. And we're gonna recommend they maybe start over in that area because we clearly have some things happening there. So with that, we were going to talk to Kleesner as well as some other communities and put out some awareness materials about what should not go down the sanitary sewer drains. So Grease being one of them, and just try and do some awareness that way and help with further. So we did have one resident that was impacted. They were able to get everything cleaned up, but that's how I was made aware, is that that resident had some not so nice surprise in her basement. So, yes. As of right now, they've not asked for any kind of reimbursement. It's my understanding they got it cleaned up on their own. In looking into this, we did reach out to insurance to see if that was anything that city insurance would cover. It can if it's considered negligence, which again, we've not done cleaning since I know when, but again, our deductible is high enough that it wouldn't make any sense to put something like that through insurance. But I did find other recommendations that cities will put a policy in place that if something like that happens, there's, they'll reimburse X amount. So I can see if this had been a little bit more widespread, it'd be helpful to have something like that in place. So it's something we'll also look into as a lesson learned from this particular situation. So.
After talking with Greg more today, it seems like found out that the backflow valve was probably installed about 40-ish years ago. Because they had backup before, so they took the initiative to put that in themselves at that time. He said it's a brass valve, flap. Kind of drew me a picture, but anyway, so he thinks that it wasn't a total like blowout of the valve. Basically, it was just leaking. So now that it's dried out, he's gonna go back in and see if something was preventing it from, because this is the first time that's ever happened since they put it in. So I think he was gonna try to talk to Luke thing. So he was gonna go in and try and see if there was anything that was preventing it from being completely
Closing all the way.
So, and there was no cost really, just some time that him and his brother took to clean it. So, yeah. I told him, we're gonna do service announcements periodically just to keep it fresh in people's minds, what should and shouldn't go down the drains. And now that we have this contract with Roto-Rooter, that hopefully, that'll be more preventative also.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wanted to make council aware, this is the first time, and it could be that Guy just handled it. I do know Mac hasn't had to call them. Again, he was on Lake Michigan at the time, so I didn't reach out, but Kenny was a great resource. So I don't think we've had this kind of emergency come up in the recent past that I recall. Again, Guy may have just handled it and we didn't know. So it could just be one of those things that, like she said, regular cleaning will help before it becomes a complete clog.
Because of that, I think I want to put something on the window for emergency, like contact numbers or something like that, because they didn't really know. Without knowing where you live, there was no way to contact anybody because phone here doesn't
ring through.
Forward that to my cell when I leave, or, being on Lake Michigan, who knows if Mac would have even had service.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's not a bad
I did
idea.
look at the website, but I didn't see where
It's understaffed, so it is probably a little bit more buried, but yeah, it's a good idea to put it physically on the window. We learned something. That's the important thing with these things. We learn something every time. So any questions from council on this particular situation? And Roto-Rooter was great. They were out as quickly as they could be for it being a Saturday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
I don't think I've ever heard of that happening
Yeah, I
since
mean-
I've been here.
I thought it was a piece of wood, cause they said it was grease. I'm like, it looks like, how did a piece of wood, like it was that big around and probably that long, so.
Yeah.
They took pictures of it. I'm sure I can get it from them if they. So, it was interesting, but I know it was car show day, cause we already had the barricades. We were going around picking those up, so we just barricaded the street when Roto-Rooter got here, so. All right, anything else on that one, Vicky? We're good? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, GIS contract renewal with HR Green. So that is page 40. So this is just our standard renewal for our GIS map. We did recently just approve them adding the additional layers that was in Mac's report that they got the zoning layer in, which is really awesome. So now that's an interactive map. So this is just the renewal of the hosting services. So it is annually $3,000. They do reserve supplemental services and support for time and material not to exceed 2,000. So I imagine that's if we need any of their support for anything as it pertains to GIS. But without that, so basically we would not exceed $5,000 for this renewal. And it is a extremely valuable tool. Any questions? I would seek a motion to approve the GIS contract renewal with HR Green in the amount not to exceed $5,000.
So moved.
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trump. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is resolution 07-2025-03, approving and awarding the comprehensive plan services for the city of Alburnett. So I don't remember what month it was that we approved going out for RFP. Or request for proposals for a comprehensive plan. So again, our plan has not been updated. I think it's 25 years old. I had Vicky print one because Joe reached out to ECI cog and got us a copy. So 2013. So yeah, 23 years old. Supposed to be updated about every 20 years. That's how long they last. So
We're just right on time.
that's where we're at. So we did go out, we put the RFP out, proposals were due in by this Monday. We received two, one from Bolton and Mink and then one from ECI cog, who again had done ours before. So you have the details of both of those. There is quite a discrepancy in the two prices. So Bolton and Mink came in at 49,000. ECI cog came in at 15,000. What I will say is we've worked with ECI cog. They've been great partners on some grant work that we've done. They also helped with our capital improvement plan several years ago. When it comes to ECI cog, I do know that we will have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So while the price tag on there is the 15,000, that is for their guidance and expertise. I still do expect we'll have to invest more staff time into that. Whereas my expectation with Bolton and Minks, if you read through their proposal, they've got engineers and others that will do the heavy lifting on there. So they put together who their project team is. So there's a project manager, a planner, principal in charge, a second planner, municipal engineer lead, a GIS lead, and a parks and public spaces lead. So just a little bit more depth on the personnel side, so they would drive more of the deliverables versus ECI cog, which in their proposal, you do see a lot of it still falls within city administration to handle. So theirs becomes guidance, collaboration, and they pull things together, but we would do more of the lifting. Thoughts from council. The other option is, so ECI cog had given us names of several other firms to reach out to. We did not receive submissions by Monday's deadline. While I think it's important that we get this done, and we did budget for it this year, we're also not in a super big hurry. So if this is something council prefers that we open back up for another month and see if we can get more proposals ahead of the August meeting, that would be viable as well. And we would reach out to these two firms and let them know that we'll put it up for discussion in August.
I would definitely prefer that, just to see who else we can gain interest in providing these services and get a more competitive price, maybe, or at least know, maybe this, maybe they're the low guys out there, but just something for a better frame of reference.
Yeah.
Do I need a motion to table it, Grant? Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, we probably could. I'll stick them.
And a motion to table it till August?
I move to table resolution of 7/2025/03 through the next monthly meeting.
Motion by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? I would also say, Vicky, maybe as they come in, because these are a lot to read through, maybe we send them to council as they come in rather than wait for. Just as we get more of them, that might just help speed the process a little bit too, so. Perfect. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We will table that till August. So Vicky will publish it on the bottom of the minutes again, just like a kind of a refresh.
Put it in line of the Monday prior to the.
Yep, perfect. Thank you. All right, old business. We're there. We're almost there. First item is set public hearing for zoning ordinance change. This is old business because it might sound a little like deja vu. So we did this last month and we had set it for this month's meeting. However, I was still waiting on feedback from the attorney and that did not come in time for us to A, make the publication deadline, and B, give planning and zoning their 30 required days. And so I do now have everything I need from the attorney. I sent it to planning and zoning today. So I would like to set the public hearing for the August meeting. We never published it, so we didn't have to have it at this meeting because we were hopeful, but we weren't ready. So if y'all are so inclined, I would like to set the public hearing date for the zoning ordinance change for August 14th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by West. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, Cintas rug agreement. So that starts on page 78 of your packet. Primarily, so this includes all of their services because they do more than just rugs, and we kind of talked about that at the last meeting. So we can get more information around even paper products and things like that for the community room. But I know the focus right now is on their rug service. So you're going to find that on page 84. So what we have here is we did add the 2 additional rugs for the fire station. They are not going to charge us for the additional stop. They're so close together. So it's just the per unit price on those. And they'll treat it all as one stop, or we'll figure out whether we need to bring those here and they pick them up here, whatever it looks like. But they didn't seem quite concerned about having to make a second stop.
You know, she still didn't change it to once. She.
It still says every other week. But basically it's just the cost of, right? Is it just the cost of the rugs every time they turn it over? So that is
They didn't put the 5-year contract in here.
What's that?
Weren't they wanting a 5-year contract?
They were earlier.
They were earlier. They didn't talk about that?
No, that there's no.
yeah, they won't do it less than 5.
5 years, okay.
Cause it's basically on a state contract. We get state pricing and so,
Okay,
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
they do group them
It's not
together.
like they Control. I
So it would be, I think it's the $72 monthly. So if we choose to approve this, I would have you approve it at monthly. I think every other week is,
Yeah, we don't need it.
they always said we can move it up.
Yeah, you can always call in for an extra delivery.
Yeah. And again, it's just then at that $72.
Which in the winter time. That's when.
Overall, we're looking at $864 a year.
In case there is extra stuff. Mhm. This one.
Let's do not to exceed 1,000 annually.
So that's what, 800 you said,
$864 if we just did it once a month for the 12 months.
or go up to 3 extra. Calls per month, well. Whatever that would be.
1,080. If we did it 15 turnovers instead of 12, would be 1,080.
And that would work.
Pushing it even further and make it even 1,100.
I'll make the motion. Then we do it for the 15. What you got, 1,000 what?
1,080. You said
1,080.
we just take to
We'll just-
1,100.
Yeah, just 1,100, yeah.
So motion from Bozenberg to approve the Cintas rug agreement for the 5-year term, not to exceed $1,100 annually. Is that right?
Mhm.
All right. Motion by Bozenberg,
Second.
a second by Myers. Any further discussion?
And that price won't change,
Correct.
it stays that.
Or locked in for 5 years.
Joe, you good?
Yeah, I was thinking we had a lot higher price last time we were talking about this. Did we, or, and
I was thinking too, but
I was thinking it was quite a bit higher than that.
Let me take a look. When did we talk about this last?
We delivered $3.
Well, if we do the every other week, then it's gonna double because,
Yeah.
so
But this is what they have is every other week.
we would set it monthly though. So the $1,100 is basically 15 turnovers. So once a month and then possibly twice a month in the winter
Yeah,
time.
but that's not what this says. This says every other week, so.
Right, but council approved it for monthly, so we'll get them to change
Yeah,
it.
we change it?
Yep.
Okay, otherwise we don't do anything.
Correct. If it would exceed the 1,100, we wouldn't do anything.
Gotcha.
We did talk to them and we know that they'll do it monthly.
Okay.
That was the minimum, because basically they're like you rent them, so the minimum was monthly.
Well, I hadn't heard that conversation, so.
Okay, yeah, you might have not made that meeting, so, yes, minimum is monthly,
Okay.
minimum term is 5 years, so. You give me the $1,100 maximum, I'll make sure that the contract fits within that.
Yep.
Good call out. Any other discussion? Motion has been made and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, last item on the agenda is the Personnel Committee with a recommendation. So we stepped through this recommendation last month, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to give it some thought. I didn't hear from anybody, so I went ahead and drafted the resolution with the steps that we had discussed. So I'm happy to read through that. But the cliff notes are that we just refreshed the job descriptions. So just to make sure they were actually aligned. So you see an updated job description for city clerk treasurer. We are reinstating the public works director because that was a position that we had moved away from. So that job description has been refreshed and that would be reinstated. And then a new newly created position for city support. It mimics a lot of what our city maintenance job description was, but includes some items for things like record retention, nuisance follow-up, helping with community room rentals, those types of things. So it goes beyond just the public works side and would bleed over into city hall support as well. This also includes transitioning. So currently our city clerk, Vicky, is part-time status. This would move her to regular full-time status effective immediately. So that would bump her from her 35 hours a week now up to 40. What's that? Oh, are you at 30? Okay, from 30 to 40. She does so much in 30 hours and feels like 35. She's that efficient. It'll move Mac, it'll promote him from city maintenance to public works director. Again, as we talked about last month, the certifications that he has achieved and or is pursuing were not included in the city maintenance job description. They are an expectation of the public works director. And then hiring that city support position that would be a part-time position. And then eliminating the city administrator position, which is currently vacant. That is the proposal, and I will stop for any questions, and if not, go through, read the resolution. One thing that did not change for the city clerk role and public works, the pay band stays the same, and the wages that were approved last month were in consideration of these changes as well. So I'm not recommending any pay changes for next year, just the role changes in the either number of hours or the position title itself. And I've communicated that with staff, so that will not be a surprise. Questions, comments, concerns?
You ready?
Let me read through it. Resolution 07-2025-02 approving staffing structure updates for the city of Alburnett. Whereas the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa has reviewed its current staffing structure to ensure that roles, responsibilities, and compensation align with the operational needs of the city. Whereas the City Council seeks to provide cost-effective support services while maintaining efficient municipal operations. Whereas certain positions have evolved or are no longer necessary, requiring reclassification or elimination to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of city operations. Whereas the updated job descriptions have been prepared to reflect these staffing changes and are attached here to it as exhibits A through C. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa. The City Council hereby adopts the updated staffing structure and job descriptions attached to this resolution as exhibits, including Exhibit A, job description for City Clerk Treasurer, Exhibit B, job description for Public Works Director, Exhibit C, job description for city support, a newly created part-time position to provide flexible administrative and field support. Item number 2, Vicky Kula, currently serving as city clerk, is hereby moved from regular part-time to regular full-time status effective immediately. Item 3, Mac Kleitch is hereby promoted to public works director effective immediately. Item 4, the city is authorized to post and hire for the new part-time city support position. And item 5, the position of city administrator is hereby eliminated from the city's staffing structure. The position is currently vacant and will not be retained. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 07-2025-02?
So.
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? Yep, you read my mind. We're gonna do a roll call on this one. Counselor Trum,
Aye.
Counselor Rosenberg,
Aye.
Counselor Sukup,
Aye.
Counselor West.
Aye.
Counselor Myers.
Aye.
That motion passes. All right, that brings us to the end of our business and to final comments. I'll start with my right with Counselor Trum.
Nice to have a long-term employee.
Not long enough.
Well,
Keep
when we have the
going.
conversation about, she says, I want to stay here for 15 years. I like that attitude.
So, yep, and it's same, I think Mac has done a really great job.
Yep.
He deserves this, and Vicky, you've done a really good job too. Appreciate it.
You earned more work. Thank you, Dave.
I'll just piggyback thanks to Vicky and Mac. I feel like we're a well-oiled machine, so be excited to add a third person and see where we can go from here.
Counselor West,
Nothing extra to add.
Counselor Myers.
Yeah, I like the personnel we have in place and I think it'll be great when we do get city support in here. Because we've got two people who are already moving everything in the right direction and it'll be so easy to have that third person just to have that guidance.
And give Max some reprieve, because it is a 7-day-a-week job. There's always something that needs to be done, so.
Stewards don't back up on a Tuesday.
And Vicky is, and Vicky's been covering Mac on the water, so.
Yeah, Vicky knows how to do water testing and meter reads. Got to
Yep.
do the first of the month meter reads, so,
Oh, she's doing that now.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I know how to mark for water and sewer lines now too.
For locates,
Yeah.
nice.
She practiced at my house.
I marked his yard.
Took it out on your grass, huh? Any final comments, Vicky? Thank you. Verna? Brenda?
Thank you for all your.
Never feels like enough. You guys do a ton. No idea. All right, with that, we'll confirm the date and time of our next meeting is August 14th at 7 PM. And I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So
Motion by Myers, I'll take a second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:27 PM. Thank you all for coming.
Guys, be